The alien arena loomed like a colossal monument of despair, a place where hope went to die. Vast and circular, it was filled with alien spectators, each species more bizarre and terrifying than the last. It was here that the Ralvok, a ruthless race with a taste for violent spectacles, reigned supreme. Sam Durden, a human taken from the safety of Earth, found himself in a holding cell with other captives. His mind raced as he took in his surroundings. The walls of the cell were cold and metallic, casting a dim, foreboding light. The Ralvok guards, towering and menacing with their scaled skin and sharp claws, patrolled the corridors with an air of cruel authority. Among the captives, Sam stood out. Not because of his stature, for he was of average height and build, but because of his calm demeanor. Trained in ancient martial arts since childhood, he possessed a quiet confidence that contrasted sharply with the fear and despair of his fellow prisoners. His mind flashed back to his dojo, his master's teachings, and the disciplined training that had shaped his life. Suddenly, the heavy metal door screeched open, and a Ralvok guard barked orders in a guttural language. A young man, trembling with fear, was dragged out. The captives watched in horror as the door slammed shut. Moments later, the arena's loudspeakers blared, announcing the commencement of the first fight. The screams and roars that followed were gut-wrenching. "That's what awaits us," whispered a woman next to Sam, her voice quivering. Sam clenched his fists. He had to survive, not just for himself but for the others. His eyes scanned the room, taking in the details, the guards' routines, the layout of the cell, and the demeanor of his fellow captives. Among them, he noticed a few who still had a spark of resistance. They would be crucial in any plan he devised. Hours passed, and the tension in the cell grew thicker with each muffled scream from the arena. Finally, the door opened again, and this time, the guards came for Sam. He stepped forward with a resolute expression, his heart pounding but his mind focused. As he was escorted through the dimly lit corridors, he mentally prepared himself. The teachings of his master echoed in his mind: in every battle, find your opponent's weakness. Use their strength against them. And above all, remain calm. The arena was a brutal sight. The ground was stained with the blood of countless victims, and the crowd roared with a ferocity that could make the bravest heart falter. Sam was shoved into the center, and the gates opposite him creaked open. From the shadows emerged his opponent, a towering beast with razor-sharp claws and eyes that burned with a primal rage. The beast lunged at him, and Sam sidestepped with the grace of a dancer. He observed the creature's movements, noting its brute strength but also its lack of agility. The crowd jeered, expecting a quick and bloody end. But Sam had other plans. He recalled the lessons of his training, focusing on precision and efficiency. As the beast charged again, Sam dodged and delivered a swift, calculated strike to its knee. The creature stumbled, confused by the human's unexpected agility and technique. Sam used the momentum, delivering a series of rapid blows to the beast's vulnerable points. With each move, he incorporated humor, making exaggerated gestures and taunts that not only confused the beast but also amused the audience. The crowd's jeers turned to cheers, and Sam's confidence grew. Finally, with a decisive blow to the creature's throat, the beast collapsed, lifeless. The arena fell silent for a moment before erupting into applause. Sam stood tall, breathing heavily but victorious. The Ralvok, watching from their elevated seats, exchanged curious glances. This human was different, and they saw potential for greater entertainment. Sam was led back to his cell, where the other captives greeted him with awe and newfound hope. He had not only survived but had turned the tables on their captors, if only for a moment. "What's your name?" asked one of the captives, a young man with a defiant look in his eyes. "Sam Durden," he replied, his voice steady. "And we're not done yet." As the cell door closed behind him, Sam knew that this was just the beginning. He had to prepare for more battles, to teach and inspire the others, and to find a way out of this nightmare. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but for the first time since their capture, the humans had a glimmer of hope. The oppressive metallic walls of the holding cell seemed to close in on the human captives. Despite the victory in the arena, the atmosphere was thick with anxiety. Sam Durden sat cross-legged on the cold floor, eyes closed, meditating. His mind was a fortress of calm amidst the chaos. Around him, the other prisoners murmured, their spirits lifted slightly by his earlier triumph. "How did you do it?" asked Sophie, a young woman with a fierce determination in her eyes. She had been a gymnast before her capture, her lithe form now marred with bruises from previous struggles. Sam opened his eyes and looked at her. "Focus and strategy," he replied. "The beast was powerful, but it had weaknesses. I exploited them." The captives listened intently. Among them were Charles, a burly former construction worker, and Hannah, a scientist with a sharp mind. These individuals would be key in any plan they formed. Sam knew he had to prepare them, not just physically, but mentally. "We have to stay strong and think ahead," Sam continued. "Each of us has skills that can be useful. We need to train and prepare for our next fights." As days passed, Sam led clandestine training sessions in their cramped cell. He taught them basic martial arts techniques, emphasizing agility and precision. Sophie quickly adapted, her gymnastic background making her movements fluid. Charles, though slower, used his brute strength effectively. Hannah, though not physically strong, had a keen intellect and quickly grasped the strategic elements of their training. Their routine was interrupted one day by the arrival of a new guard. Unlike the usual brutish Ralvok, this one seemed more curious than cruel. He watched their training with an intrigued expression, his eyes lingering on Sam. The next fight came sooner than expected. This time, it was Sophie who was called. Her face paled, but Sam's steady gaze and reassuring words gave her strength. "Remember what you've learned. Stay focused." The arena roared as Sophie entered. Her opponent, a serpentine creature with deadly fangs, slithered menacingly. Sophie took a deep breath and fell into a fighting stance. The creature struck quickly, but Sophie's reflexes were faster. She dodged, flipping and twisting in mid-air, evading its attacks with grace. Sam watched from the cell's small window, his heart pounding. He had trained her well, but the fight was still perilous. Sophie landed a swift kick to the creature's head, dazing it. She followed with a series of agile strikes, avoiding its lethal bites. The crowd, initially skeptical, began to cheer as she gained the upper hand. In a final, daring move, Sophie used her gymnastic skills to leap onto the creature's back, striking a nerve cluster Sam had taught her to target. The serpent collapsed, defeated. The arena erupted in applause, and Sophie stood victorious, a mix of relief and pride on her face. Back in the cell, the atmosphere was electric. Sophie's success further bolstered their morale. "We can do this," Charles said, his deep voice resonating with newfound determination. "We can survive." Their clandestine training sessions continued, and the bond among the captives grew stronger. Each victory in the arena was a small triumph against their captors, a defiance of their grim fate. One evening, as they trained, the curious guard returned. This time, he approached Sam directly. "Your skills are impressive," he said in halting English. "You teach others." "Why?" Sam studied the guard, sensing an opportunity. "We want to survive," he replied honestly. "We didn't choose this, but we can choose to fight back." The guard nodded slowly, seemingly pondering Sam's words. "You fight well. Different. Maybe, you win, you live longer." After the guard left, Sam turned to the others. "We might have an ally," he said. "We need to be careful, but any advantage could be crucial." The days turned into weeks, and the human's resilience became legendary in the arena. Sam's strategies and training paid off, with each fighter using their unique skills to survive. The crowd, initially hungry for human blood, now eagerly anticipated their battles, captivated by their unexpected prowess. Despite their successes, the looming threat of the Ralvok leadership remained. Sam knew their victories could only protect them for so long. The Ralvok were ruthless, and their interest in the humans' abilities could turn dangerous at any moment. One night, as they huddled in their cell, Hannah approached Sam with a grim expression. "I've been observing the guards' routines and the layout of the arena," she whispered. "I think there might be a way out." Her words sparked a flicker of hope. Sam nodded, his mind racing. "We'll need a solid plan and perfect timing. But if there's a chance, we have to take it." As they began to formulate their escape, the knowledge that freedom was within reach fueled their determination. Each fight became not just a battle for survival, but a step closer to liberation. The captives' bond grew stronger, and their resolve hardened. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but together, they had a fighting chance. And so, with hope rekindled and plans set in motion, they prepared for the ultimate challenge, to turn their captors' game against them and reclaim their freedom. The air in the holding cell buzzed with nervous energy. The humans had tasted victory, but they knew the true battle was just beginning. Sam Durden paced the narrow space, his mind a whirlwind of strategies and contingencies. Hannah's revelation about a potential escape route had reignited their hope, but it also meant the stakes were higher than ever. "We need to train harder," Sam announced, breaking the tense silence. "Each fight is a step towards our freedom. We can't afford to make mistakes." Sophie nodded, her face set with determination. "What's the plan for our next opponents?" Sam gathered the group, their faces lit with a mix of hope and anxiety. "We need to understand our enemies, adapt our tactics, and use every advantage we can find. Hannah, keep observing the guards and their routines. Charles, focus on your strength but remember to stay agile. Sophie, your agility is your best weapon." Days blurred into nights as they honed their skills. Sam pushed them hard, but always with encouragement and a touch of humor to keep their spirits up. The bond among the captives grew stronger, a sense of camaraderie forged in the crucible of their shared ordeal. The arena loomed ever-present in their minds. Each fight brought new challenges, and Sam knew that their captors were growing more interested, and more dangerous. The Ralvok seemed fascinated by the humans' resilience and unorthodox tactics. Sam could sense the brewing storm, but he remained focused on the immediate goal, survival and preparation for escape. One day, the Ralvok announced a special event, a series of battles showcasing the humans' newfound prowess. The crowd's excitement was palpable, and the captives knew this was both an opportunity and a perilous test. Sam and his team prepared meticulously, aware that this could be the turning point. The first fight pitted Charles against a massive, heavily armored creature with a mace-like tail. The crowd roared as the two combatants faced off. Charles, with his brute strength, met the creature head-on, using his size to his advantage. He deflected its powerful swings, waiting for an opening. When the creature overextended, Charles struck with all his might, shattering its knee and bringing it down. The arena erupted in cheers, and Charles returned to the cell, battered but victorious. Next, it was Hannah's turn. Her opponent was a swift, reptilian creature with razor-sharp claws. Unlike the others, Hannah relied on her intellect and speed. She danced around the creature, using her agility to evade its attacks. With calculated precision, she struck at its joints and weak spots, wearing it down until it could no longer fight. The crowd, initially skeptical, found themselves enthralled by her strategy and skill. As each human faced their respective battles, they demonstrated not only physical prowess but the cleverness and adaptability that Sam had instilled in them. Their victories were hard-fought, and each one brought them closer to their goal. Finally, it was Sam's turn. The Ralvok had saved the most formidable opponent for him, a towering, multi-limbed beast with a reputation for being undefeated. The crowd fell silent as Sam stepped into the arena. He felt their eyes on him, the weight of their expectations heavy on his shoulders. The beast roared and charged, its many limbs a blur of deadly motion. Sam remained calm, his mind focused and clear. He moved with calculated grace, evading the creature's initial onslaught. With each dodge and strike, he assessed its weaknesses, searching for an opening. The fight was intense, a deadly dance of strength and strategy. Sam used every trick he knew, incorporating elements of humor to distract and confuse the beast. He taunted it, made exaggerated gestures, and kept the crowd entertained while meticulously wearing down his opponent. In a decisive moment, Sam feigned a stumble, luring the beast into a reckless charge. He sidestepped at the last second, delivering a powerful blow to its exposed flank. The creature howled in pain, and Sam pressed his advantage, delivering rapid strikes to its vulnerable points. The beast collapsed, defeated, and the arena exploded in applause. The Ralvok watched with keen interest, their eyes gleaming with a mix of admiration and suspicion. Sam knew they were becoming more intrigued by the human's abilities, but he also sensed their growing wariness. Back in the cell, the atmosphere was electrifying. The humans had not only survived but had emerged as champions in the eyes of their captors. Sam gathered them, his voice steady and filled with conviction. "We've proven we can win, but we must stay vigilant. Our true battle is not in the arena, but in our escape." Hannah stepped forward, her expression serious. "I've been watching the guards closely. I think I've found a pattern. If we can coordinate our actions, we might have a chance." The group huddled, discussing the details of their plan. The path to freedom was fraught with danger, but for the first time, they had a real possibility of escaping. Their victories had given them strength, and their unity made them formidable. As they prepared for the ultimate challenge, the knowledge that they had a fighting chance fueled their determination. The arena had made them stronger, but it was their bond and shared resolve that would lead them to freedom. The tension in the holding cell was palpable. Sam Durden and his group of human captives knew this night would be their last in the arena, one way or another. Hannah had mapped out the guards' routines and found a window of opportunity. The plan was dangerous, but it was their only chance at freedom. Sam gathered the group. "Tonight, we escape. We've trained hard, fought bravely, and now we have a chance. Follow the plan, and we'll make it out together." Sophie, Charles, and Hannah nodded, their faces set with determination. They had become a family through their ordeal, and their trust in each other was unshakable. As night fell, the cell was plunged into darkness. The only light came from the faint glow of the alien moons through a small, barred window. Sam moved silently to the door, signaling the others to follow. Hannah had disabled the cell's electronic lock earlier, a feat that had required both her scientific knowledge and a bit of luck. The door swung open with a soft creak. The corridor beyond was dimly lit and eerily quiet. Sam led the way, his senses alert for any sign of danger. They moved swiftly but cautiously, each step calculated to avoid detection. They reached a junction where two guards stood. Sam motioned for Hannah and Sophie to stay back while he and Charles dealt with them. Using their training, they took the guards by surprise, subduing them quickly and silently. Sam felt a pang of guilt at the violence but pushed it aside, survival was paramount. With the guards out of the way, they continued towards their goal, the control room. Hannah had deduced that from there, they could deactivate the security systems and open the external gates. It was heavily guarded, but they had a plan. As they approached the control room, Sam turned to Hannah. "Are you ready?" Hannah nodded, her hands steady despite the tension. "I've got this. Just keep them off me long enough to do my job." Sam and Charles burst into the control room, taking the guards by surprise. The room erupted in chaos, but Sam's strategic mind turned the tide in their favor. He and Charles fought with a ferocity born of desperation, holding off the guards while Hannah worked at the control panel. Sophie provided cover, using her agility to disarm and disable any guards who got too close. The minutes felt like hours, but finally, Hannah's voice cut through the chaos. "I've got it. The gates are open. A deafening alarm blared through the facility. Their escape was no longer secret, but the way was clear. They raced through the corridors, the sound of pursuing guards echoing behind them. Sam led the way, his mind a whirlwind of strategies and possible obstacles. They burst into the open air, the cold night wind a stark contrast to the stifling confines of the facility. Ahead, the massive gates stood open, their path to freedom clear. But between them and the gates was a platoon of Ralvok soldiers. Sam's heart pounded. We fight our way through. Stick together and watch each other's backs. The battle was fierce. The Ralvok were formidable, but the humans fought with a desperation and unity that gave them an edge. Sam moved like a whirlwind, his martial arts training allowing him to evade attacks and strike with precision. Charles's brute strength and Sophie's agility complemented his skills perfectly, while Hannah used her intelligence to exploit the enemy's weaknesses. Despite the odds, they pushed forward, inching closer to the gates. The taste of freedom spurred them on, and their bond gave them strength. Finally, they broke through the last line of soldiers and crossed the threshold of the gates. But their ordeal wasn't over yet. As they sprinted into the forest beyond, Sam knew the Ralvok wouldn't give up the chase easily. Keep moving, he urged. We need to put as much distance as we can between us and them. They ran through the dense undergrowth, the sounds of the alien jungle surrounding them. Sam's mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. They needed to find a safe place to regroup and plan their next move. After what felt like an eternity, they stumbled upon a cave hidden by thick foliage. Exhausted but relieved, they collapsed inside. Sam looked around at his companions, their faces dirty but triumphant. We did it, Charles said, his voice filled with awe. We actually did it. Sophie smiled, her eyes shining with tears of relief. We're free. Hannah, catching her breath, added, but we're not safe yet. We need to stay alert and find a way to signal for help. Sam nodded. Hannah's right. We've won this battle, but the war isn't over. We need to stay strong and smart. As they settled into the cave, Sam felt a surge of pride and hope. They had faced unimaginable horrors and emerged stronger. Their journey was far from over, but they had proven that together, they could overcome anything. He looked at his friends, their eyes reflecting the same determination and resolve. We're free now, and we'll find a way home. Together. With renewed strength, they began to plan their next steps, knowing that as long as they had each other, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The road to freedom was long and fraught with danger, but they were ready. And this time, they were fighting on their terms.